An intentional inclusionist is a phrase that I coined in order to describe a leader who is very cognizant and proactive in taking the initiative to help create inclusion in whatever circles of influence that they have in order to ensure that inclusion is very evident and that people feel accepted, valued, and like they can bring their whole selves into that environment. So there are a couple philosophical foundations that I strongly believe are very necessary and critical for the work of diversity and inclusion to happen in a sustainable and effective way. One of which is that we need people to start seeing the work of diversity and inclusion as a leadership function. And I truly believe that being inclusion-minded is a leadership function. And so if you are a leader, a person of influence in whatever environment that you may find yourself in, then you have the ability to create change, which means that you also have the ability and the responsibility to create a sense of inclusion within that environment. Oftentimes, I find that a lot of individuals will see the work of diversity and inclusion as the responsibility of the person that carries that title, D&I officer, diversity and inclusion practitioner, or even the HR professional. But in actuality, I believe that if every single leader were to view this as part of their function of leadership, then we could really further this work at a pace that's much faster than I believe is happening right now. A second philosophy that I have that is very important to the work of diversity and inclusion is this notion of leveraging the power of intentions. I believe that the work of inclusion does not happen organically. If it does, it's not going to be able to be sustained. And so we have to make sure that we are approaching those opportunities with a high sense of intentionality of seeing results in the end. And that has a certain look about it. It's very calculated, it's very deliberate, it requires forethought. And I would love to see people to embrace the power of intentions as it relates to the work of inclusion. Part of my goal is to help leaders to see the importance of exercising intentions around the work of inclusion. That is how we're going to be able to be effective and sustain that work. Nika Consulting was established the early part of 2017, and it is a management consulting firm that intersects the work of diversity and inclusion, leadership, and business. And the idea is to help organizations of all types across different industries, different sectors, to be more strategic in their approach to diversity and more intentional about their work in the space of inclusion. And I deliver upon that for my clients in a multitude of ways. A lot of it is consulting and training and really providing the education so that people can be empowered and have the skills training to facilitate this work effectively within their organizations. And then there are also a number of very strategic elements that find its way into the space of diversity and inclusion that oftentimes many organizations just don't know how to execute. And that includes developing supplier diversity initiatives, helping to establish employee resource groups and put services around that allows those groups to be very empowered and effective in their approach to tracking a pathway of success. There are many ways that Nika Consulting delivers upon helping our clients to be very effective in their work towards diversity and inclusion, one of which is we offer strategic planning around diversity and inclusion. We help them to identify the path forward plan, the communication strategy around launching a D&I initiative, developing the focus areas and how to make sure that you're tracking and you're measuring them appropriately. I also help organizations to establish employee resource groups and to put structure around how those groups should operate in order to help the individuals that are the beneficiaries to be able to be successful within their respective organizations and support the mission of the company. I truly believe that we have to make sure that we are educating the workforce around diversity and inclusion. And so I often go in and facilitate several different sessions with leaders as well as employees to help them to understand what is diversity and inclusion, what is our personal leadership responsibility to the work of diversity and inclusion, and how that fits in with the overall mission of the organization. So a number of other services, but generally speaking, at the end of the day, my goal is to help organizations to be able to leverage diversity and inclusion as an opportunity to further the mission of the organization. Nika White Consulting is very fortunate to have a number of wonderful clients that we have the privilege of working with. And our clients span across many different industries. We service nonprofits, we service a lot of higher learning institutions, a lot of small businesses, as well as a lot of large corporations. And the unique value of all of those organizations to our client roster is that it gives me the luxury and our company the experience to be able to work with so many different clients who have a vast different of needs. And I find that to be incredibly exciting, and I always enjoy seeing the end results. One of the services of Nika White Consulting is empowering people with knowledge around this work of diversity and inclusion. I would love to talk with you and your organization about coming to your company and being able to share knowledge that will help people to have the skills training to be effective in the work of diversity and inclusion. So if you're interested in learning more about this work of diversity and inclusion, which I'm incredibly passionate about, then I want to speak with you. I want to learn about your pain points, your interest in championing the work in your organization and becoming more effective in the work of diversity and inclusion within your respective companies. And so contact me. I'm on social media. I would love to connect with you there. I would love to sit down and talk with you for a consult and just learn more about your organization and how I can potentially help. And so you can go to my website, nikawhite.com, and I look forward to hearing from you.